In this video, I'm going to talk to you about Forbidden Psalm, a great series of mini-agnostic games, and why I like it. There's some things that I really like. Crazy, interesting visual design and miniature-agnostic wargames are two of them. Therefore, it makes total sense that this episode of Why I Like It should showcase the game Forbidden Psalm, which is a series now, and more about that in a bit. Forbidden Psalm is from a small indie game development company called KRD Designs, which I think that they're in the UK, and it's inspired by and compatible with Mörk Borg, which you may have heard of before. It's this crazy indie like black metal RPG that frankly I also find very interesting. I've actually bought a bunch of the books and stuff like that. I picked them up mostly when I was at PAX East, the Penny Arcade Expo in Boston back in like April. But I mainly just bought it because I want to like read it and enjoy it. It's probably not something I'm going to end up playing. I don't really do a lot of, RPG work these days, but the design and just the overall aesthetic and the story and everything about all those different things within Mörk Borg, I think are really interesting. And the initial Forbidden Psalm, this book right here, takes place in the same world, from what I can tell, but there's really not a lot of lore in this book, which I actually kind of appreciate. Let me try to read you quickly the lore of this entire thing here. The Mad Wizard hides in his castle, only appearing for those who undertake his bidding. Viprix the Mad Wizard bids the desperate, the brave, and the foolish to venture into the ruins of Kyrgyz. He seeks the Forbidden Psalm, a nameless scripture Viprix claims can stop the darkness. Whether there is truth to the Mad Wizard's ramblings or not, his coffers run deep. Promised riches await those strong, quick, or cowardly enough to survive bearing back treasures from the lost ages. And in these bleak times, good coin is hard to come by. That's it. That's it. That's everything else you get to make up and have a good time with. That's all the lore you have to go through, which I kind of appreciate. Now, if you want, you can bring your characters from your Mörk Borg campaign that you've been playing the RPG stuff. You could take a character and bring them into Forbidden Psalm. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. There's a section in the front of each of these books that explains how you do that, how you transfer stuff from the RPG version to this and that kind of stuff. It's very cool. And frankly, again, like I said, if you don't want to do that, which I'm, like I said, not going to probably do, it's very easy to build characters in the Forbidden Psalm system, which I have done. I'll quickly show you how it's done. Basically, you select 5 models to use, okay, and then you assign each model a name. That's very important. You allocate stats, and the stats in the game are basically you either get a +3, a +1, a 0, and a -3, or you get a +2, a +2, a -1, and a -2. That's up to you per character, and you only have 4 stats: agility, presence, strength, and toughness. So you get to put those numbers where you want to, depending on what kind of character you want to make. Once you've allocated your stats, you roll a flaw for each model, and there's an entire chart of flaws. You roll a feat for each model, and again, a chart for those. And again, it says roll. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can tweak stuff. No one's going to call the cops. You spend your 50 gold on equipment, and then you select a spellcaster from one of your group, and you roll for scrolls. Scrolls are like spells in this situation. That's it. You've got your warband of 5 models, and you are now ready to go out into Kyrgyz and to do, missions and things like that for the Mad Wizard. The game is designed, again, pretty simple. You have basically a move and then an action. One of those actions that action can be a second move if you want to. But otherwise, I lost the page where it went. There's not a lot. I'm not saying there's not a lot to it. There's actually a good amount to it. And as the other games kind of progress, which are completely separate standalone games, there's actually a good deal here. There's like 10 missions, I think. There's a campaign, so you've got that whole thing, which I really like campaign play like this. This is designed to be played either against a friend if you want to, or solo or co-op. You've got all those different options. There's even some role-playing stuff in some of the missions if you wanted to, like here, there's the RPG little dot there that says when the players arrive, you can read this, depending on how you want to go with your with your game, whether you're using these particular scenarios as scenarios in the Mörk Borg role-playing game, or whether you just want to have a little bit more flavor for your campaign games of Forbidden Psalm. Then there's also an expansion called In the Footsteps of the Mad Wizard, which adds a ton of new stuff. If the other book here was relatively, because there's monsters in here, again, there's scenarios, there's campaign stuff, there's all the things you need in there to play the full game. But if you want to basically double up and get even more monsters, even more scenarios, more feats, more all kinds of stuff, there's let's see here, there's all these different crazy monsters. The Exalted, that guy looks pretty cool. One of the things that I find really interesting, though, about this book, like I mentioned at the beginning, was about the amazing design. If you're one of those people that's like, I want everything to be very clear, I want my pages to kind of all look the same, I want things to not be sort of crazy and frenetic, this stuff might not be for you. Just straight up, I want to let you folks know that, because sometimes the pages are pink, sometimes they're yellow. There's a lot of yellow. Sometimes they're white backgrounds and all kinds of different things. It's visually interesting, and I really enjoy that. But there's also a ton of depth to this, specifically in the Footsteps of the Mad Wizard. There's a ton of depth to this to add to this one, which, again, is Forbidden Psalm. These two go together. You need this one to be able to, you need this one to be able to play this one. However, earlier this year, KRD also dropped a new standalone game using the same rule set, but set in an alternate history World War I, and that game is called The Last War. I'll again quickly read the intro so you understand what's going on. The Great War, World War, war to end all wars, the only true name it has is The Last War. For now, there remain not enough people to fight another. The war ended not with a bang, but with a cough and a splutter. The disease that took hold and spread far and wide. Few survived the fever and the filth. With so few humans left, those that dwelled in the night took up the arms of man to fight over what remained. These scattered beings hunt the trenches of the last war for scraps, salvage, and weapons. Beasts, humans, and all in between now hunt these deserted battlefields, soldiers who have not realized the war has ended, demons of myth and nightmares, and the few remaining citizens pick at what is left behind. As if in response to the suffering unleashed upon man, a great fog has taken the land. What dwells within the swirling mists chills even the most hardened of veterans. What comes after the last war? Only decay, death, and destitution. Again, you're done. That's all of the lore, but it gives such a flavor to everything, gives you everything you need to know to make your own miniatures, to set up terrain, to do all the stuff you want. Again, this is on a 2-foot by 2-foot board. It's played on very small areas, and it works really well when you do that kind of stuff. This, again, like I said, it's the same game system, but they've added more things to it. It's like, they started with Forbidden Psalm, and then this is not just changing the genre. It's more than that, and it adds more stuff. And it's really, again, this one to me specifically right now is the one that I'm most interested in. I like Forbidden Psalm, but this is a great add-on, and I've already been starting to work on stuff, terrain and models, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a sec. And then a few months back, KRD released another standalone game using the same Forbidden Psalm rule set, but now it is cyberpunk. So it's called Kill Sample Process. That one isn't a physical book yet. I did the Kickstarter on that one, so there's a PDF that's out there, but the print book is actually heading to the printer in the next couple of weeks, according to a recent email. But it is available as a PDF through Wargame Vault, as all of these other ones that I've just shown you are as well. I'll put a link down in the description, well, several links in the description below. If you want the print versions, however, of like Last War, Forbidden Psalm, and the Footsteps of the Mad Wizard, and some other stuff that's available as well for this whole Forbidden Psalm line, you're going to have to hit up a website called Exalted Funeral, which is a great name, and I'll put links to that as well in the description. Like I said, Kill Sample Process, this new game, is cyberpunk, and it's got all the weird, kind of crazy cyberpunk tropes that come with that. Yet again, still this Forbidden Psalm kind of rules engine, for lack of a better term. You do get more special characters now. So like in the original game, you got the one wizard, and as you went into, the you know, in the World War I game, there's also like an added person. Well, now you can have like, not added, but like a special person. Now you get up to 2 of those folks. And also all of your figures can get cyber mods. And it's just there's, you know, and there's the stuff you can do in the net and all kinds of stuff. There's just more, in my opinion, there. You know what I mean? Like the original Forbidden Psalm is a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a great game and I like it. And it's a good place to start if you're interested in getting into this type of game. But it is like the first product, right? You know, and then The Last War wasn't just like a change of genre but the exact same stuff otherwise. It's got more things added to it that weren't in the original, and now KSP, you know, Kill Sample Process, is doing even more stuff on top of that. KSP, from the stuff that I've looked through, is incredibly dense, and I mean, not like crazy dense, but in comparison, it's really right up my alley, and I'm super excited to get going with it. This whole series of games just really speaks to me, not just because of the like punk gothic to, you know, alternate history World War I to, you know, cyberpunk kind of visuals and themes amongst the 3 games, but also because of the humor. It's kind of a wry humor in a lot of spots and things like that. And also the horror, and then like all the other different ways that I can explore and create with the models that I'm currently working on for these games. I've enjoyed playing Forbidden Psalm, the base game, with fantasy models and terrain that I've already had, and that works really well for that way. You can go real crazy and weird if you want to, but you can also just use the fantasy stuff you've got. It's basically a fantasy game just heading into the darkness a little bit more. But now I'm currently building a Last War like 2-foot board, you know, 2 foot by 2 foot, with some trenches and some bombed buildings and things like that. And I'm working on models from Wargame Atlantic. They've got a bunch of World War I different, like I think there's French, and I think that there's Germans, and I've purchased both of those, so I'm going to be kit bashing some kind of crazy stuff out of those. And I'm also trying to figure out now, like, what models and terrain that I want to use for Kill Sample Process, because again, you know, cyberpunk stuff, very cool, a lot of kit bashing stuff, but there's also a lot of companies out there that are starting to put out, you know, stuff that's actually fits really well for cyberpunk, not just in the miniatures, but also in the terrain and all that kind of stuff. So that's also something I'm really enjoying working on. Now, maybe battle reports in the future for Forbidden Psalm, Last War, Kill Sample Process, all of them, one of them, who's to say? Could be, but while you wait, if you want to see some Forbidden Psalm, battle reports, I would check out Ash over at Guerrilla Miniature Games. He's done a bunch, and I've really enjoyed them. Pachow. If any of this stuff sounds interesting to you, I strongly suggest looking at the PDFs on Wargame Vault. They're generally between like $13 and $14, and I personally feel that they're worth it. The other thing that's pretty cool is that you'll notice in a lot of these books how, the spreads are designed to kind of work together, right? Like these two are kind of this light pink, and then these two are like more of a darker purple and that kind of stuff. The PDFs are designed so that there's two files. One, if you want to see just each page singularly, as you say, flip through on your on an iPad, or as you print them, or if you want to go down that road. But there's also spreads view too, so you can literally just scroll through and it's like you're looking at each spread, in the book, which that's the way I like to do it on the iPad, turn it sideways. It works great. So again, links for those things are down in the description, and you might be interested in checking them out. And I think that Forbidden Psalm might be on sale until the 3rd of January on Wargame Vault. I don't know about the other ones, but that one, I believe, is 25% off. So it's nearly the end of the year, and that means that next week, this upcoming Friday, I'll be breaking out my best tuxedo and presenting the Tabletop Minions Awards for 2022. I hope to see you then, and if you don't want to miss it, make sure that you're subscribed. Also, if you liked this video, clicking the like button down below makes an excellent Christmas gift. Thanks for watching.